gentlemen. Now, while we are standing by to celebrate Har Ghar Tilanga, the enemy on the other side is waiting, itching to bleed India with 1,000 cuts. And what we are sharing with you now, ladies and gentlemen, is a CNN News 18 Right Stand exclusive this Friday evening, where we are going to show you how desperate the jihadis are to infiltrate into our territory. This is a big infiltration plot, and right across not the LOC, but the international border. That's the information our investigations editor Manoj Gupta is getting us. The Pak Army and ISI are very keen, and they're under pressure to violate the ceasefire agreement. And the reason for this, ladies and gentlemen, is because there is a major section of the Pak Army that's not convinced with the ceasefire. They believe FATF pressure is now off them and the jihadi pressure is on. The terrorist groups are mounting, saying, "Hamare cadre yahan pade hue, hum kya karenge inka? We want to push them into India." So that's the pressure from the terror outfits to expand the operations. Jaish-e-Mohammed has moved highly trained fighters to the Lipa Valley. That's the first input that we're getting. Second, Jaish fighters are in the Jabdi village in POK opposite Tangdar. Thirdly, LET is gathering fighters near the international border. And we also have details of the launch pads. We'll tell you where they are and in what kind of numbers. Let's look at this, Pakistan's cross-border terror. So the first location is Rupochak. This is the Jaish launch pad. The first of the this one. The other one, Hizbul launch pad, is in Machal. So Machal, Rupochak, not so far from each other, but you have Machal. That's the other one. And the third one, that's Hizbul launch pad. And then, of course, there is in forward Khatua, that's the JK Ghaznavi force which is there. There is also Shakargarh. Shakargarh is a Jaish launch pad. So there are 4 or 5 launch pads where cadre are waiting. And this number anywhere between 350 to 500, that's the number that we are given to understand is waiting to get into our country. These are launch pads, and this entire sham of a ceasefire is ready to be violated. Sushant Sareen with us, Dr. Kamar Chima with us, and Lieutenant General KJ Singh with us. Let's go straight across to them. Namaste, gentlemen. General KJ Singh, should we have some fireworks to bring in 75 years of our independence? Very surgically executed. General KJ Singh, can you hear me? I'm going to check the audio through with General KJ Singh. Sushant Sareen, so they are waiting to infiltrate. FATF pressure, they believe, is off them. Now that the regime change has been executed and the Americans are happy again.
No, I don't think the Americans executed the regime change, but that's besides the point. Look, Anand, I think we are getting some indications of greater activity along the line of control. We have seen reports coming in, especially in the Tangdar sector, of infiltration attempts and infiltration taking place. There have been 1 or 2 casualties on the Indian side as well. So to that extent, these reports your report kind of bears out what has been happening on the ground. But the question is, why are the Pakistanis doing it at this stage? And I think that is a bit of a mystery, simply because the Pakistanis suffered hell of a lot when the ceasefire was non-existent. I think it is quite punishing for the Pakistanis when there is no ceasefire along the border. Of course, we benefit from it also, because many of our people who are living along the line of control, they also, there are casualties, there are houses which are damaged, people can't go and do their farming, can't go about their daily lives. Yeah. So yes, there's a lot of disruption on our side as well. But the Pakistanis have suffered disproportionately more, partly because in a lot of that area, although Tangdar is not exactly, does not conform to what I'm just going to say, in a lot of along the LOC, we hold the commanding heights, so we have an advantage. In the Tangdar area, not so much also in the Uri area. But having said that, I think the Pakistanis, if they want to try any kind of a misadventure, they're welcome to it. I think there will be a lot of people out here willing to give it right back to them. And of course, the factor that the Pakistanis think that they might be getting off the FATF grey list, although I think there are renewed doubts about they're getting off by October. Maybe it will be postponed to next February. I think the international community will be looking with a microscope on how the Pakistanis are going to be behaving. So I don't think they're out of the woods just yet as far as the FATF is concerned. Of course, the Pakistanis have a habit of jumping the gun, and if they are doing it again this time, then they will be held to pay. I don't think there are any two ways about it. The other very interesting part could be that there are a lot of reports of divisions within the Pakistan Army.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether those divisions within the Pakistan Army are also playing out as far as the ceasefire is concerned. And a third factor, again, Anand, I take you back to a report on your channel itself on the TTP and how the TTP is being pressured to infiltrate and to attack India.
Yeah.
And at that point of time, I had told you that you guys need to look at the Punjabi Taliban aspect of this whole thing, which is where the Jaish-e-Mohammed and other people come in.
Correct.
And that is what the Pakistanis have been trying to float. So I think the story which you are reporting today starts adding up when you look at some of the previous events which have happened and the previous reports which have already been published. When you put all of that in the context of what is happening geopolitically and in Pakistan, I think it all starts to add up.
True, it does. And General KJ Singh, the faces of terror who we are putting, this person on your screen right now, ladies and gentlemen, one by one we'll put it out as we put out the faces of terror. There is Rauf Asghar, who is now the Karta Dharta, if they can say, the person who's, or this is Zameen Bakht, whose picture. This is Rauf Asghar. Rauf Asghar has now taken over the command of the Jaish from Masood Azhar. So it's Rauf Asghar who's the most wanted man in the last 2.5, 3 years, 4 years. All the attacks have been executed, planned by him, masterminded by Rauf Asghar. Even the Pulwama and thereafter, from Uri onwards, he's the one who's in charge. That's Talha Saeed. That's another person who is controlling and calling the shots. So these are the three who are orchestrating, training, figuring out the infiltration plans, and of course, more importantly, training and running these terror bases and these terror camps. General KJ Singh, you can tell us more and tell our viewers more about Zameen Bakht, Talha Saeed and Rauf Asghar. These are the people who are now masterminding these camps. Sushant Sareen just put his hand up. Yes, Sushant, another 30 seconds to you and then I'll bring in General Singh.
Sorry, General Singh, I just wanted to add another input. You mentioned Bakht Zameen Khan.
Yeah.
Bakht Zameen Khan of the Al-Badr is a guy who the Pakistanis have used to go to Afghanistan to negotiate with the TTP. Please remember that. And his photographs were published. He was out there.
Yeah,
he
Bakht
was
Zameen.
part of that jirga which they had sent. So this again adds up to what you have been reporting. And Rauf Asghar is now virtually the operational head of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, as is Talha Saeed of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. So again, all of it adds up.
True.